Hey everybody, it's Reed, and today we're doing another video in our series, Construction Accounting 101, and I've got Mike Baio with us. And Mike, today we're going to talk about basic accounting controls for contractors, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's dive right into it.
Awesome. So just kind of a general overview. I mean, accounting controls, if you're new to business or maybe you're new to the contracting business, maybe you've been established for a little while, and you're looking to sort of close some gaps in your accounting system, maybe Mike, why don't you run us through, what are basic accounting controls and maybe why they're important?
Yeah, for sure. I think as always, security is an issue, so it's something that should be considered. More so, for checks and balances, to get another set of eyes in the system. And what really helps with that is in a lot of these newer systems, they have, role-based security settings. You'll see that where, you might have one user who's going to have a role of setting up vendors and putting in, payable invoices. But then you have another role where you have another individual in the office who actually selects for payment and prints the check. So it's kind of just having those, basic core checks and balances in place, get multiple people eyes on it, and, just kind of, hey, this doesn't look right. Is that okay? And, the idea here is, catch it earlier, and that's going to help overall in your system.
Yeah, I mean, I think as you grow as a company, I mean, even if you're a small company, you don't necessarily want, the person who's putting in the bills to also be maybe cutting the checks, or for the person to be putting in the vendor to also be able to control that entire process through and through without at least some sort of a automated warning to say, hey, somebody's, put in a new vendor, or somebody's, this payable is over X amount and that type of thing, right?
And it doesn't have to be anything complex. Another thing is, turn on some approvals. Nothing complex. We don't need a 5-step approval, especially if you don't have that many individuals in the office. One way to do that, if you can't really segregate by role-based, is to have a simple approval. Hey, when that, payment gets entered into the system, or, it's about to print a check, just go through a simple approval where it can get routed, to an office manager or, the CFO or someone, just to get eyes on it. And, it can happen quick enough and flexible enough where they can approve it right on the screen and continue the process. But again, just give that second set of eyes. Hey, we already paid a bill that was similar to that last week. Did we get double billed here or something like that? So, that's available in the system.
So we've got Sage Intacct up here on the screen. Maybe walk us through some things that are specific to the system and things that folks can do to control their system.
Yeah. So, I kind of mentioned that just a second ago is, you can have dashboards set up. You can have dashboards where, you don't have to be checking emails every 2 seconds to see if you do have to approve something. You can have, as these bills go in the system, they pop up on your dashboard and I have to go approve this now. You can come into here and have a link that says, take me into my approval area, and, and go ahead, and I don't have any selected here, but you can select them right there. So you can have these set up so that it's going to kind of ping you real time, while you're doing other things in the system. And that brings up another thing you can have in a lot of these newer systems is you can have alerts, whether it's reactive or proactive, set up in the system. For example, in Intacct, you can do what's called smart rules, where as somebody is entering data in the system, you can have that return a warning or an error when they're entering information that shouldn't go together. Maybe if they're putting cost against a project, but it's to an office supplies expense account, you can have the system stop them right there. So you're not reconciling it 8 months later. You can do it real time. And then vice versa, you can do the other way where it gets entered in and then you get alerts or an email that says, hey, someone entered a vendor and they're a subcontract vendor, but they entered it to material. So you can have these types of proactive warnings set up in the system so that you're not taking forever to reconcile and close. And that, that goes to the continuous close, being able to, keep that basically constantly closing and active in the system.
That continuous close is definitely a trend that we're, I think a lot of our most future and forward thinking customers are working towards that, right? How do we get to a place where, our ownership or our leadership can log in at any time and know exactly where the business is? Yeah. And this just sort of goes into that. It's not just approvals though, right? It's some other things.
No, I mean, it's I don't know if I'll show it here, but, there's things in the system that, AI, things like that, where you can, there's a GL outlier where it can alert you and say, hey, this account is normally, at this total per month. All of a sudden, hey, red flag, hey, something got entered to this account that made the activity different than normal. There's things like that can be set up in your system to provide that type of alert, so that, again, the worst thing that happens in our world is, we get a support ticket or a call that, hey, I'm out of balance, and I've been out of balance for how long? Have you been out of balance? Well, for 8-9 months, and that, those never go well because they take forever to kind of trace your steps back. So, there's audit trails, there's smart rules, there's prevention. Hopefully catch it real time so that your month ends or just go a lot smoother.
Yeah, and then just basic user permissions too. I mean, I think a lot of times people just sort of set up a system and they let people into it, and they don't really think about that sort of granular control. And we go into this in other videos in more detail in the Accounting 101 series, but just using this as an opportunity to really understand securities and permissions, even if you're not an IT or an administrator, person. It's just important that you understand what users can have access to what in the system. If you're, an owner, if you're the CFO, if you're a controller, even.
Yeah. And you can do it with, like I said, role-based. Not only that, but, hey, I can enter in an AP bill, but I can't delete an AP bill, or I can view a list, but I can't edit a list. So there's multi-tiers to that security as well. And then, there's tools in place in the systems like, simple checklists where you can come in, and a lot of clients will come into here, for example, and set up like a month-end checklist. Here's our closing checklist. Here's what we do each month. We need to run this report. We need to reconcile this. You can assign users, and you can have them be emailed and alerted that, hey, you need to run your vendor, your AR aging, tie it out to the general ledger, and you can track that. And so it can kind of help remind you to get those tasks done and then track your progress. Pretty cool.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that's some basic accounting controls that you can put in place to prevent things like fraud, to prevent things like mistakes from happening in your books, and honestly, to prevent future work for you and your team. Yeah. Mike, I appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Well, if you want more tips like this, we have an entire series on Construction Accounting 101 that we're dripping out over the next few months. And, it's probably going to be an ongoing series here at Vanguard. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the thumbs up for us. It helps the algorithm. Thanks so much, and make it a great one.